Hey everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful day so far. I am just dropping this special little clip into all the episodes. So, no matter what episode you're listening to, this is actually pretty current as of July 2024. I wanted to come on here and just say a big thank you to Earworthy because the Life Shift podcast was just named the best overall podcast of the year in the first Earworthy Independent Podcast Awards. And you've probably seen some articles written about the Life Shift podcast before, written by Earworthy. And now he is launching from his online publication, he is launching these yearly winners of independent podcast awards. And these are specifically for indie podcasters. We are those that wear all the hats. We create the show. Some people write the show. We're producers, sound engineers. We troubleshoot all the tech. We do any kind of research if we need to. We host the shows. We distribute the shows. We do all the things that relate to our shows because we love it. And it's so nice to see my name in a list with some other amazing podcasts like Multispective, which won Best Life Lessons Podcast. Salad with a Side of Fries won Best Health Podcast. Bippity Boppity Business won Best Business Advice Podcast. And there are so many more. And so I just want to come on here and say thank you to Earworthy for not only doing these awards every year and just honoring some of us indie podcasters that sometimes feel like we're just shouting into the void, but we're not. We're just doing what brings us joy, and hopefully through that work it brings other people joy. In my case, for the Life Shift, I hope that each episode finds the ears that needed to hear it the most so that they feel a little less alone in their circumstance. But also, Earworthy writes all these amazing publications pretty much weekly, every week, every weekday, I should say, where he writes on Blogger, Medium, Substack, Tumblr, Vocal, Many Stories, and for other places. And he really just highlights the independent podcasters. So thank you, Frank, for everything you do with Earworthy and for recognizing all of us in the first Earworthy Independent Podcast Awards. If you'd like to read more, please head to medium.com/EAR hyphen WORTHY. Thanks again and enjoy this episode. Hello, my friends. This is another preview to a bonus episode that we do over on the Patreon feed. And so, with these bonus episodes, I like to go back to former guests and just catch up with them based on what we talked about on their show and see if things have changed a little bit. Maybe they had some feedback from people that they didn't expect, or maybe they just learned something new about themselves by sharing the story. And so, in this clip, I wanted to share just a little piece of the latest conversation that I had. If you're interested in checking out the full bonus episodes, you can head over to the Patreon page, which is www.thelifeshiftpodcast.com/join. And there is a special tier that gets you ad-free episodes, early release episodes, and the bonus episodes. Come on over, check out the Patreon community, and see how you can support the show if you're interested. But without further ado, here's a preview of the latest bonus episode. Has there been any, I know you listen to some episodes, sometimes I give you a trigger warning and so you avoid some episodes, but have there been any other stories on the show that have resonated with you or you've connected with?
One of the ones that I keep kind of coming back to, and I actually heard it before I recorded with you. I think her name was Chantel Watts, but she had a very similar story to mine as far as, a professor saying, hey, I'm seeing something in you that you're not seeing in yourself. And I know we talked about this very briefly before we got on here, but the funny part about when I listened to that episode is that I was listening to it on a plane on the way to a convention for the sorority that I belong to, Phi Mu. And I didn't realize until like within the last couple of weeks that convention was also a life shift moment for me. I've decided to start going out for national volunteer positions. I'll hear back in a few weeks as to whether I got one or not. But just the idea of going to that convention and saying like, okay, like here's this other opportunity for me, and also having people tell me, oh, you need to do more than just belong to an alumni chapter. Like you need to be up here doing stuff with some of us, some other national volunteers that I had met. So it feels like this full circle moment almost, that I listened to her episode about her professor. I had my own episode about my professor, and that, that I listened to it right before the convention. And I mean, I just had interviews last week about national volunteer positions, and they were like, oh, you need to do this. So it's just a matter of like which position I'm going to be in at this point. So it's very interesting that it kind of all came full circle for me.
You also just never, I mean, it kind of speaks to the idea that you really never know how someone's story might connect with you. Even, and, in that situation, the story was not, I mean, it was similar in the sense that like someone saw something in someone, but her story was very different
Of
in
course.
in the sense of like where she was headed and what changed, but how it connects with you and how it makes you relate.